Welcome back, everyone. I'm Rhonda, and if you haven't watched part one yet of this sugar craving series, then I will put it in the link so you can go to it, watch it. It gives you the full picture of why sugar cravings happen in the first place. And if you haven't grabbed also the free companion workbook, make sure you do that too. Within this workbook, fill in the blank sections, also some reflection section, and especially in this part two, we're going to fill in a symptom tracker together as we go along throughout this little mini series. So, because here's the thing that I want you to realize in this particular video is blood sugar imbalances, which are related to sugar cravings, they don't just make you reach for chocolate at 3 p.m. That's not the only thing that it does for you. It affects your energy, it affects your mood, your sleep, and your hormones, basically everything. And a lot of women have no idea that these things are even connected. So today we're going to connect those dots and we're going to start with the most obvious one, and that is about energy. You already know those afternoon slumps when it's 2 or 3 p.m. and your brain just goes foggy. You don't want to do anything. You want to just take a nap. Most women chalk it up to just being tired. And maybe they didn't sleep well the night before. Maybe they're just super busy, but more often than not, it is a blood sugar crash. And we talked about that in our series one. When your blood sugar drops, your brain, which runs a lot on glucose, it starts to struggle and thinking gets harder, focus starts to slip, and your body needs a quick fix. So, what does your body do? It sends a craving. It needs you to reach for something fast. And oftentimes it's something sugary or starchy. And if this happens to you every afternoon, like clockwork, that's a pattern worth paying attention to. Now, our very first thing, I want to first go to your workbook. And this is what I was talking about. There is a symptom tracker in your workbook. And within that, you get to rate each of these sections that we're talking about today in 1 through 5. So the very first thing is, how is your energy? Do you have an afternoon energy crash, right? Rarely or often. So just take some time and put that in really quick. And then also the second one, brain fog or difficulty concentrating. Again, rarely, number 1 or 5, almost every day, somewhere in between. Write that down and we'll come back to it in a little bit. So now let's go on and talk about something that not enough people connect to blood sugar, and that is about your mood. Have you ever snapped at your kids or your partner and then thought, well, gosh, where did that come from? Or felt a wave of anxiety that didn't quite make sense? Or do you cry over something really small and you can't really explain why? Well, blood sugar swings are one of the most under-recognized drivers of mood instability. And when your blood sugar crashes, your body releases stress hormones. It's cortisol and adrenaline. And it can bring back up the glucose. And those hormones create that edgy, irritable, anxious kind of feeling. I know when I was in college, I've dealt with blood sugar issues most of my life, but in college in particular, my mom had to warn my college roommate. She said, as long as she doesn't get hungry, she's going to be great. So it was just another example of my mom had witnessed me being very grumpy, grouchy, and probably didn't want my roommate to have the same experience. So just an example there. But when women start stabilizing their blood sugar, one of the first things they tell me is they feel so much calmer. They feel like they can react better to stressful situations. And this is not a coincidence. So, again, let's go back to the workbook. There's another reflection here. I want you to track and rate your irritability and your mood swings. Again, rating 1 through 5, 1 rarely, 5 almost all the time. And then also anxiety. Do you have anxiety without a clear cause? All right, let's go on to sleep. Here's one that typically surprises almost everyone, and it's about sleep and its relationship to blood sugar. And if you're one of those women waking up between 2 and 4 a.m. and you can't get back to sleep, chances are your blood sugar might be waking you up. And here's why. During the night, if your blood sugar drops too low, your body releases those same stress hormones that we talked about with mood. It's releasing those hormones to bring back up glucose. And those stress hormones can just jolt you awake, and then you find it hard to go back to sleep. It can also look like trouble falling asleep. For instance, if you have a late night of eating and or maybe you had a glass of wine at night, your blood sugar spikes a couple hours after this. So say it's like you finish eating at 10 p.m. or having a glass of wine. A few hours later, that is when your blood sugar is coming back down and it spikes, then it crashes, and suddenly your mind is racing. All the thoughts come in the middle of the night. So, if you've ever had that happen, chances are this is a blood sugar issue. Sleep and blood sugar are deeply connected, and improving one almost always improves the other. So, going back to your workbook on your symptom tracker, how is your sleep? Difficulty falling asleep after eating late or waking up between 2 and 4 a.m.? How are you rating along this scale? And then there's hormones. And if you are watching this and you are in perimenopause or menopause or navigating any kind of a hormonal shift, then blood sugar is even more important. This is because estrogen and progesterone both interact with insulin sensitivity as our hormones are starting to decline and we become more insulin resistant just naturally. We lose that insulin sensitivity. When our hormones fluctuate, blood sugar becomes harder to regulate. And that can look like weight gain or weight loss resistance. And oftentimes it's around the middle. Maybe you have hot flashes, and that seems to be tied to what you eat, brain fog that lingers, or a feeling that your body is working against you. And I want you to hear this, please, that it's not your body working against you, it's working really hard with the signals that it's getting. And the good news is that we can change those signals. Now, I know that might have felt like a lot to go over those. We talked about how it affects energy, your mood, your sleep, and your hormones. And that might have been a lot of information in a little bit of time. But I want to leave you with this because every single one of those things is changeable. None of it is permanent, and none of it requires a complete overhaul of your life. In part three, the really cool part, I'm going to share are 5 really simple, sustainable shifts that will help you start moving the needle on all of this without a complicated diet, without eliminating everything you love, and without having to be perfect. And again, if you're watching this and thinking that you need more help specifically, as always, I do offer a blood sugar clarity assessment call. I definitely will have the link for you below. It's basically, again, where I talk with you about your health in particular, and we get down to some actual action steps that you can take right away. So if you feel called to do that, please set that up with the link below. Now, before we go on, I would like you to just continue with the rest of the workbook, fill out the reflections page, and then you will be primed and ready to go for series 3. And that's where we are going to put it all together and start making changes in the right direction. So be on the lookout for series 3, and I hope to see you there. Take care.